what lamb tastes like.
Okay. My parents, and I'll have to find you the recipe because this may change your mind. One parents' weekend at Wake Forest when I was living in an on-campus apartment, I didn't want to make reservations and go out and just be like inundated with tons of people. So I had a kitchen, and so they pre-made a lasagna, and we made dinner, and we had dinner together in my apartment. It was awesome because it had been a rainy night. It was perfect. They made veal lasagna in bechamel sauce, and it
Oh
was
my.
that fat ginger Italian guy's recipe, Mario Bertelli, Mario something.
Sounds
Uh,
good.
he's ginger with a ponytail, and he's
Oh,
Italian, so
I
it's like
believe that is Mario Battelli, yes.
Bertelli. It was amazing. It
I
was like so good, and they left me all the leftovers, and I just ate it for the rest of the week, and I was like, this is veal. And I know in my heart of hearts, I was like, this can't be like, this is, people are mad at me about the ethics of veal. But that lasagna would have changed your life.
Hmm.
And it was so good. It was so good. And I was just like, this is so good. And it's like, if I said it was lamb lasagna, people would have been like, oh, lamb, lamb, of course. You call it veal, all up in arms.
Yeah,
I
I
also
don't
had,
are
I,
are the
er,
lives of baby sheep less precious than the lives of baby cows?
not really. Baby sheep are cuter.
Well, I mean, on long enough a scale, aren't we all just like babies or whatever? Like,
Yeah.
like you go thousands of years, human beings only live, what, 80, 90 years, even with modern medicine. I mean, but you look compared to an animal that lives like 200 years, like a turtle, like how old
Yeah.
is 30 or 40 even? I mean,
Hobbits don't come of age until 33.
it's true.
How old in and this is you may not know the answer. In Elf, like when Will Ferrell is sitting in class, all those other elf children are like his age, right? Like
Yeah,
they're all in their
Apparently.
30s and stuff.
Yeah. Elves have to take forever to age.
but not forever to grow, because as an image on Facebook once told me, God only allows things to grow until they're perfect. That's why short people are so great. And it's like an image of the youngest
That's
daughter from
weird.
from Despicable Me.
But that's really weird because that would basically say that she's reached sexual maturity at the time that she's reached her height.
I didn't take it
But
there, but you certainly did.
I'm sorry. I'm
It's
sorry. If you've
well, it's
ever taken a
Jack. It's why
biological
we had her
anthropology
on.
class,
I mean, her perspective on these things is unlike you or I. So, Jules, I encourage you to continue to take it to these very weird and uncomfortable places.
no, I just say, okay, so here's the deal. So there's like how tall you get as a person, but there's when you reach what is considered sexual maturity slash adulthood. And it's like those little elves are the same age as this dude that has fully reached sexual maturity, but they're little elves, they're still considered children. So like they're still going to be growing for way longer than he is because theoretically if they have a longer lifespan, they have a longer childhood. This is totally biologically said. Just because I've got the word sexual in here, you guys are all up in arms.
No, I'm not up in arms. I am listening attentively, and I understand what you're saying. It's sort of like actually it's a lot like the Jem'Hadar the other way because I was just watching Deep Space Nine. They only live for about like
20
8 or
years.
9 years.
If
Yeah.
they're like honored elders.
Well, no, that's beyond 9. Beyond 9 is honored elders.
I was
Right.
So
watching something else where it was like that. What was it? Keep going. Sorry.
Oh yeah, the Okampa from Star Trek were also like that. The Kessa species, they only live 9 years and bam, they're dead.
Yeah. What was I? Oh, what is that? In the Golden Compass, there's this species of tiny little like fairy-like person, and they don't live very long. And like that's like the whole. It's not the Golden Compass. It's probably the Subtle Knife and what's the last one? In
isn't there a watch in there?
the something. Yeah. Well, the Compass is the watch.
The is
It's
it
his Dark Materials.
That's right. You're
That's
correct.
the whole thing. So there's these like weird species that are like they get old, they age really quickly. So you reach adulthood, which is what scientists would call sexual maturity.
Yep.
at an earlier age. But those elves in Elf were still little tiny children, and he was already big and grown. And I know that is for the purposes of like the comedy, but the comedy is based on the fact that he is surrounded by a group of people who have not reached mental and sexual maturity yet, and he is therefore acting like one of the tiny little elf children when he is a human adult. That's the basis of the joke.
Well, yep. Typical nature versus nurture. Mowgli being raised by wolves. The wolves grew up, to full maturity. By the time he was 12, he thought he was a full-grown wolf. But then it turns out
Yeah.
he was only a pubescent boy.
Which was probably hard for him because he was probably treated not that awesome when he went back into the human world. They were like, "You're just a kid." He's like, "No, you don't understand. I am full grown."
That in his country was legally occupied by foreign invaders. But,
That too.
hi, I'm Jack.
I'm Jonathan.
I'm Julia.
And we are Glib Shark. Tonight, Jules joins us for just anything and everything we think about. If you want to talk to Jules, the number to call is 215-486-2125. Or if you have Skype, call Jenga Ship and we'll let you in on the conversation. But I heard someone actually join us. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's the lovely, the talented, the amazing, the spectacular Obo Crazy, here to do a little something that we call This Week in Geek. How are you?
I am sick in a car before an orchestra rehearsal. Talk
Oof.
about dedication to this show, right? Oh, yeah. So I only have one thing for This Week in Geek because it's the only thing that I have been looking at, and that's off the top of my head. Actually, there's two things. One, so they put out a picture of Jared Leto as the Joker. Did you guys see this picture?
You mean
Yeah.
Juggaloker? You mean Juggaloker?
Juggalo.
Yeah, so I'm not going to be claim to be the world's most biggest authority on Batman or any of his villains, and I totally appreciate someone trying to do something different with the character, and I get that he's also doing a riff on the Killing Joke. But what's with all the tattoos? Can anyone explain the tattoos to me?
Basically, from what I understand, that is not the final design for the Joker in Suicide Squad, the movie, David Ayers' movie. It is a melding of what Jared Leto is doing for that Suicide Squad movie, and the 75th anniversary of the Joker being introduced.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So it's not
Now-
final design then.
Now, that may be a reaction to the criticism that photo has gotten. It's gotten quite a bit.
Yes.
So they may be like, hang on, guys. So, like, they're going into Jared Leto's makeup trailer the next morning and like, so, those hours of tattoos we were going to put on you for the movie? Yeah, not going to do that because it sucks.
Not
To be
gonna do it.
honest-
Wouldn't be prudent.
The only one that actually was weird to me was the forehead one.
Yeah.
It's damaged, yeah.
Yeah, that
It's
was a little
so
because the other-
obvious.
Yeah, it's very to make a pun in your face. The other ones like they at least reference other things in the comics, and in the end, if he's wearing any clothing whatsoever, you're not going to see them a lot of the time. And I like a lot of the other aesthetic that's going on. It's really just the forehead one, and I'm like, really.
And it's so poorly done. It's seriously, the one on his forehead looks like somebody went in Photoshop and pulled out the text box and wrote damaged in whatever like generic
Rocket
came
fonts
with
that
your
you find.
computer like cursive font they could find, and it says damaged and it's perfectly capital D, and then all of the lowercase letters go along with it perfectly. I'm like, is this the kind of tattoo the Joker would actually get?
Absolutely not.
And I just everything else I could go with almost everything else. It looked a little too clean. Like, I spent a weirdly long amount of time around tattoos in my undergrad career because we did an exhibit on them, and just like everything I know about tattoos and when people were getting tattoos and how they're done, everything just looked too computer. Like, I don't even think any of those were actually done by an artist on his body, not an actual tattoo artist, but even like a makeup artist. They all looked like they had been affected
Photoshopped.
in, and it just
Which-
was a bad Photoshop too.
Which is probably what contributed to the backlash for it. Because, as I said, overall, I didn't mind the aesthetic. I'm not, gonna I'm not going to say yay, but that was really the only one. And so I think that's why a lot of people are like, oh, I think maybe subconsciously they're reacting to like the bad photoshopping. Because I think
Yeah.
without that forehead one, I think people would probably have gone along with it a little bit more. But anyway, if you haven't seen it, Google is your friend. The only other thing that came up is, hey, if you're going to RTX, and I know most of our listeners at least want to, they finally dropped the hotel reservations for if you wanted to get a deal for RTX. So check out the RTX, the Rooster Teeth website. There's a couple journals posted. You can now, it links right to the 2 hotels that they're offering deals for, and get yourself a hotel and come party with us because it will be fun. That's all for This Week in Geek. I'm Obo Crazy, and oh my god, I need to sneeze.
The world is indeed a sneezy place. If you have a fact you want read live and on the air, say for instance, Juggaloker, going to RTX and booking that one of those hotel deals, you can send her an email, lauren@obocrazy.com, or go to our website, which is glibshark.com, full of all the past episodes of classic Jenga Jam, modern Glibshark, and all-time podcast. glibshark.com. But I
That
think I know.
transition was as bad as the damaged Photoshop tattoo.
Hey, let me tell you why let me tell you something, brother.
Let me tell you this, girl.
Let me tell you, like, I figured out why the Juggaloker bothers me so much. Not necessarily that they're trying something new. I mean, people kind of shit on Heath Ledger when he was announced as the Joker. They really did. 10 Things I Hate About You being the Joker. Franchise
that's
is ruined
true.
forever.
Love
and then he
him in
knocked it
10
out of the
Things
park.
I Hate About You, by the way.
But, well, you got to reference the movies that come from my time. I mean, I was in high school when I think that movie came out. But, like, so, Jonathan, you might remember this. Remember when Finch Lynch, I think it was Finch or somebody, posted an image of these dolphin furry men? Does this
Not
ring any
particularly.
bells?
No, it doesn't.
I'm gonna find it, and you're gonna cry yourself to sleep because it's super creepy. And the Joker reminds me of this sort of, imagine like a dolphin slash man kind of furry hybrid kind of deal with the human being.
Why? Why would you make me imagine that? I'm already
Imagine a
going to.
dolphin. All I can see is the sharks on Katy Perry's thing.
Right. I'm not
Let's
even
shark
gonna make you
That's all I'm
imagine that.
picturing. The
Like-
sharks from the Super Bowl, they're
Well-
like, "Dur-dur-dur." And I'm like, I know you're creepy, but not
Well-
the right way.
Well, our friend Finch Lynch made us imagine it years and years ago. And I even imagined it. He put it right in our faces. Like one time, I remember Katie King. She was doing like drawings of everyone as furries.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then Bernie actually posted on my wall like years ago when he saw my avatar. He did one of me. She did one of me as a dog, my classic like 3-piece suit with a purple shirt. And he said when I saw that, I hit my screen, the screen of my laptop, and cried.
Ha!
Precious memories.
Furries can have that reaction in people.
Furries are a thing.
They are
They are-
definitely a thing.
Okay,
Oh, God.
so full disclosure, I'm not going to name names because I don't want to call anyone out. But,
Oh, but just do it.
no, I'm not. I'm not that. No. So I met someone at this last Toronto Uncon, and I will just say that she was very interesting, kind of cute, and we played hearts. I taught her and oh, I'm trying to think of who else was there. I was very drunk, but I remember we learned how to play hearts. I like knocked over her chair a little bit because I'm a large, playful man, and we kind of hit it off. So I friend request her later on Facebook when she turns up, and turns out she's a furry, like a major one,
A major is it?
suit and everything.
Are you friends with her on Facebook? Are you?
And I'm not going to say because you're going to find her.
I'm not
You'll
gonna
probably
say
find her
anything.
pretty easily.
I'm not gonna be
Anyway.
like, "Hi, you're a furry." Can we
Standard-
talk? I just want to like.
I don't know,
wanna go-
Jules.
Here's the
You're
standard
kind of in
Glib
people's
Shark.
faces. So anyway. So the point is, I've had to come a long way to be like, okay, I am actually all right with this. With not only knowing that there are furries out there. I mean, that took a long time, but actually being friends who participate in that stuff, because not all of it is devious. Sometimes it is just a fursuit. I personally will never do anything like that, but I'm a bit more accepting of those who do. And this person did a hell of a job kind of bringing me to that point.
Yeah, listen, do what you want, as long as you're not hurting anybody and you're making yourself happy, go for it. Who am I to tell you what is good and bad and right? And fuck it. If you do the furry thing and you enjoy it and you're not hurting anybody, then
Yeah.
don't listen to me, because what do I have to say in your life? But as for me, no.
Yeah. I think that's kind of my thing. It's like, okay, here's what you've got. Two, or in some people's cases, more than two consenting adults that are both 100% satisfied and happy with what is going to happen or has happened. I'm
Yeah.
not really bought, like as long as everybody there is consenting and of age to consent and you're not hurting people,
Then
go
who
for
are
it.
we to judge?
I see the thing I have learned is that A, I am way more bland and normal than I ever think I am. But B, I seriously, at this point in my life, from what I've just weirdo stories I've heard from people, I don't think furries are really that much far off the spectrum. People dress up as naughty cops and naughty nurses. You can be a naughty whatever kind of animal you want to be. I'm not bothered.
Well, and frankly, like a lot of the naughty Halloween costumes are naughty animals anyway. They're just
Yeah.
full
Yeah.
body. And you were talking about as long as they're not hurting people. Really, a lot of times, especially when you get down to conventions and below the Mason-Dixon line, they're only hurting themselves in those suits, because I would imagine it is actually worse than, say, a suit of Spartan armor. Because
Oh my gosh, I bet it's so hot.
yeah, that's all I'm saying, is that it's a struggle. But anyway,
You're going to be sweaty.
a little bit.
You better
I
like your
listen-
own body odor.
To
Or
bring
wear
it
a
back
lot of
to
deodorant.
DC, how much further is it from furry to Catwoman?
Not very far. She is
There
in
you
a
go.
cat suit. And she, depending on which Catwoman you're talking about, it gets closer and
okay.
closer to spirit
As-
animal than it.
As someone who has no experience with either option, I've never been in a full body suit like that, and I've never been in, say, like a rubber or latex suit like what Catwoman wears. Which do you think would be worse?
Well, okay. Has any I've had experience with the latex, but I haven't had
tried on
experience
leather
with the
pants
furry.
one time.
The latex sucks. It's hot. It doesn't want to come off easy. It sucks.
I imagine, okay, so I imagine latex would be worse because I've heard that like you have to put baby powder on to like keep it from chafing because
Well,
it's
I
what
don't-
you have to,
I
and it
wore
just
it.
would sweat.
I wore it as a costume for a performance, and I only had to wear it for about an hour and a half. And so, I didn't know. I wish someone had told me, because yes, you're right. There's chafing. It is not comfortable. It is just not comfortable. But I've no experience with wearing a mascot outfit, so I can't compare the two.
I had a friend who was the demon deacon in college. He was the mascot. I imagine it got really sweaty, but the thing is, like the mascot, the head is like this big thing that you wear. So while you're hot, you have all this space inside, and then you
Yeah.
typically wear stuff that's oversized for you. So you have breathing room. So even if you're sweaty, you could still wear Under Armour, or you could still wear something underneath it so that you're not totally dying. But like you said, the latex, what can you wear underneath latex?
Not much. Although I will say, for the mascot thing, like there's never any time I can ever imagine being comfortable in latex. Being in a mascot outfit, I'm from Buffalo, and the Buffalo Bills mascot was a guy in a buffalo, looking like a buffalo, and in the middle of winter, that's got to be actually kind of nice.
Yeah, that sounds toasty.
I
Do you
go to a
think
Bills
maybe-
game.
Okay,
in fur.
so that's Buffalo. That is way
Yes.
up there. Do you
Yes.
think there's a point at which it gets so cold that you can no longer wear enough stuff underneath to keep yourself warm?
Oh, there
I am-
definitely is.
100%.
Oh, absolutely. But Canadian football teams don't play very often and don't have mascots, I don't think.
Right. But Buffalo is practically Canada.
It
Yeah,
really
but-
is. I'm basically American
Lower
Canadian.
Canada, though. Lower.
But what so we mostly get a ton of snow. When it gets super cold, it's a wind chill issue because there's always a breeze off the lake. And if you're wearing a big outer, mascot costume, I would imagine that mitigates a lot of the wind, and
It's a
so it might not
windbreaker.
be. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
Imagine you can't hear for shit though because the wind is just blowing past you like, and you have like this big barrier between you and everyone else. So you have to have a handler that's basically just walking you around everywhere.
Well, hell, like just normal cosplayers generally have handlers. I know, I'd like to call it rolling support of people doing cosplay. I mean, a lot of times, especially if you have a costume that's not conducive to carrying stuff,
Yeah.
then it's very helpful to have someone who's there for you to be like, oh hey, you like for example, I wore a costume one time where I had claws on my hands. Well, gosh, that meant there were a lot of things that I just couldn't open or anything. So I
Or
was
you
very
could because those claws were also bottle openers.
no, they were like they were spit and bale wired on. I mean, they were just like hanging on for dear life, and I could handle stuff probably, but it would just meant that they would have fallen off and I would have had to been constantly reglowing them. I mean, they were delicate, I guess is what I should say.
Yeah.
And so having someone to do that minutia was very, very handy. So it's not totally unheard of that would happen. This is one of the weirdest beginnings to a conversation we've ever fucking had.
Is it though? I mean, we've been doing this a long time. I guess it doesn't rank up.
No,
high.
this is okay. Let's put it this way. In my era,
That's fair. In your
we've
day.
never gone from furries to latex.
That's true.
claws.
We didn't do any dead baby joke contests while you were on a part of the show.
I would like to think the Venn diagram of latex and furries is overlaps quite a bit.
Overlaps, yeah.
I
But
would think so.
that's just how, I don't know, maybe it's how I'm trained to think. But it's like when I hear about, like, it's so weird when I hear about someone else's like weirdo fetish, or even if it's not weird, I'm like, how does that work logistically? Like, so there was this picture, this like stereotypical like, oh, this is a person, this is a indigenous person that still exists somewhere out there in the world, and it's the beauty standard of having these long, like, it's body jewelry. It's the equivalent of having your cheek pierced or having your nose pierced or your lip pierced, but instead it's like pierced through both ends, and there were these like basically having like, imagine instead of like the stud that just goes, through your earring, it's this long thing that goes through one end of your cheek and then out the other end, and it's a way of, it's just a standard of beauty that doesn't exist here but it exists somewhere else. I just remember staring at the picture and I remember going, do they take them out when they eat? And one of the the anthropology admin, Rosemary, was just like, what? I was like, I understand the beauty standard. That doesn't bother me at all. I'm like, I don't care if I find it ugly. Someone finds it pretty, whatever. I'm like, but tell me how logistically, like if you're going places every day and you have pokey things sticking out of your face, how do you work that out? Like, or like, there are societies where you have a beauty standard where there's a lot of enlargement of ears or lips, and I'm like, okay, when you're eating, what is it? Does it hurt to sleep on? Like, those are the questions I want to know. Like, I want to know, like, all right, what happens when this shit goes wrong? Like, I'm like, I get it. Maybe it's weird to me. I don't know. Like, the cultural relativism is so far gone. I'm like, give me the rundown of your daily life and how you don't get snagged on shit.
There was actually, it's funny that you put it that way. There is a board game that I'm actually going to get to play this weekend. It's called Twilight Imperium. And so it's intergalactic.
Steven loves that game.
Huh?
Steven loves that game.
Oh, well, we should play sometime. Although the logistics of getting people to play are very complicated. So that would be like we could not do that at RTX. That would take us out of action for several hours, not just setting up the game, but actually playing and then putting it all away. But anyway, so I'll have to remember to bring that up with Steven. Anyway,
That's the one where you can be Aslan, right?
Yes, you can be they are the Hassan or Hakan or however.
They're the
pronounce it.
Aslan tribe.
Yes, they're the space lines. Anyway, so they are space vampires. I'm going to put that out there. And they are actually
As
one of
there
my
are.
favorite races. So the guy that is like the representation of that race on their little race card or whatever is wearing this like armor stuff where the pauldrons stick so far out from his from his shoulders that a lot of people are like, how does he get through doors? Like
Sideways.
well, okay, so this is space combat. So these are space ships, and in space, like livable habitat is at a premium. So you don't want big like rooms on a spaceship. So this guy could never be on they're the Letnev, like a Letnev battleship or something,
So
because
wait, how
his
do you spell
shoulders
that?
would never fit anywhere.
I want to
Maybe-
see a picture of this guy's shoulders.
I'll-
And I'm
I'll-
having
Maybe
trouble.
retract.
I will find one. Yeah.
Are they retractable
No.
shoulders?
No.
Like, this is a spacefaring race with space technology. Maybe they have the technology to make shoulders retract.
Retractable shoulders.
Why not?
Like kind of like a shoulder version of Wolverine.
No,
Shoulderine.
They're very
shoulderine.
clearly like one piece. There's no
That's so
like.
weird. I'm looking. The
Anyway,
Barony
so-
of Letnev? Is that
Yes, that's them.
okay?
Hey,
Oh, this
Jules,
is a shitty photo.
were you? I think you were the instigator of our hatred of the Latvians. Is that right?
Yes, Latvian potato. We don't hate the Latvians. Come on.
That's
We like
okay.
their jokes about their poverty
Potatoes.
and their potatoes.
So
I was
backwards.
listening to that show the other day. I was like, I need me some Latvian potato jokes, and it came. Actually, what happened were it came up on Ramdon, and I was listening to it. And I was like, oh, this is with Joel. Oh, this is with the Latvian potato jokes, and I think it actually was like called Latvian potato jokes. So I listened to it, and then I like had to do something, so I quit listening to it, and then like I hit forward. So I had to go and find it again to listen to the rest of the Latvian potato jokes, and that was amazing.
It's a
love
whole
Latvian
subreddit.
potato.
Of course it is. Why wouldn't it be a whole subreddit?
I just sit there
Everything is a
sometimes
subreddit.
and
That's
I
true.
read them to Steven. Where me find one? I find a good one. Okay.
That one's kind of
One day, here knock at door. Man ask, who is? It's Potato Man. I come around to give free potato. Man is very excited and opens door. It's not Potato Man. It's secret police.
I have one here too. So, I am in the gulag and Politburo is gives us potato. The reason why he needs daughter is to distribute potato in the gulag. Totally. Oh, I can't read that one. Never mind.
No.
It's sort of like when you catch yourself going, oh wow, this is really funny. Nope. Back up.
Oh, here we go. Yeah.
Crap.
So
Too late. Going down a hill.
So,
Foolish
Jack,
Americans claiming Latvians don't have freedom of speech. We just don't have freedom after the speech.
Oh.
Accent.
So,
This is
Jack-
like this.
It's
My
very
favorite
quickly
one.
getting into Yakov Smirnoff territory. Let's be careful.
yeah.
Yeah.
So like Jack, we were talking about last week about cosplay, and I think Izzy brought up the fact that like we had talked about in like a Cards Against Humanity game, dressing up as tentacles and like walking around RTX as part of the big tentacle monster.
Yeah.
And then I remembered
Amazing.
why we wouldn't do that.
I can imagine why.
Because that like the whole tentacle monster thing just opens up a door that no one wants to go into.
You ain't going to Kinky Land.
No,
Yeah.
not just Kinky
You're-
Land, because it's tentacle assault.
Yeah,
is
kinky
the
implies
deal.
consent.
Yes.
So
Let's put it this
Also,
way:
if
the
you're a
tentacle
giant
monsters do not get consent from their victims.
hey,
So-
you know what? Go ahead.
Well, I was
They
just going to
can't
say,
get
so,
through doors.
so that's why I think ultimately, even if we thought it was the funniest idea ever, we just wouldn't do it because it would create problems and conversations that we're on the correct side of. And
Yes.
as bad people, sometimes we consider things on the other side of that conversation, but we shouldn't go there. It just shut the door. Don't even do it. Just don't even bother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
It's awesome and funny in our heads, and it should just remain there, like most headcanons.
So now I have this like picture. If you guys are tentacles from a tentacle monster, that you would all just be this like person in this large tentacle that kind of walked around and was like blah 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 blah. Like each of you were your own tentacle, and you're kind of like in a like just in my head.
Yeah.
It looks really funny.
Yeah, it would have.
it in
In
your head.
some respects, it would have been really funny.
That moment when you've gone so far back in Finch's journal that you see Dax Flame.
You are old.
I
Wow.
really am. But
Truly.
oh gosh, there's so much
Maybe
stuff
we
there.
should
And like,
talk about something, things that people know about.
people know about Finch. He's still a thing, right?
He's still a thing. He was a
He's
thing when
still-
I was on the site, like
See?
early
I
days. He's
I
still a
think
thing.
still a thing only applies to Twitter for Finch these days. Like, okay, so this is how like hermity and curmudgeon Finch is these days. So I play a game called Destiny, and I play it on the
Oh,
Xbox
you
One.
do?
Yeah, I know, right? It's shocking. So
you never talk about it.
no, I don't. So
I've never even heard of this game.
I play. Shut up. So I'm playing it on the One, and the way Destiny works is that whatever console you play it on, those are the people you play with. You can't play with any other console. So all these Xbox One people are kind of looking at these poor Xbox 360 people, who there aren't very many of, and going, "Oh man, I wish they had a One because then they could go play with us." Like people like Nico play Destiny on the 360. Martha's kid Silas plays on the 360, and Finch played on the 360. So a lot of us got like free or whatever copies of Destiny on the 360. And we also like to raid. And I remember bringing it up to Finch once. I'm like, hey, if you want, we can see if we can grab a bunch of people from that we normally raid with, hop on the 360, and we can raid with you. Because we felt bad because we were always talking about it. And barely anyone on the 360 that we know raids. And he's like, nah, I don't need your pity raids. And he was serious.
Oh.
He was serious.
He's like, bitch, I
I-
don't need your pity.
I liked that when Destiny first came out that they were offering if you bought, I think it was if you bought the 360 version, you could upgrade to the One for free. Was that what it was?
I think what it was is you could transfer your DLC for free.
See, I
So,
thought
like-
it was like the whole game. Like if you bought the 360 version and then bought a One that you could get because
It may
I seem to
actually. You
remember-
know what? No, I think you're right. I think it was like you got a digital code or something as long as you had like something from the 360. I'm not sure.
Yeah, because I remember they didn't do it the other way around because I'd already pre-ordered and got it on the One, and the same kind of thing. I knew people who were on the 360, and at the time I'm like, I totally would have done that. I totally would have done the same thing if having bought the One version, you could get a download for the 360 version for free. But they only did a upgrade to the One, not an upgrade to the 360, which I thought was weird.
Right. And I actually have the 360 because I think I bought it like a long time ago off of Amazon. Like I pre-ordered it because I didn't know if I would get the One or not. And so I ended up getting the One, and that was mainly what I played it on, as you've seen. But I still have the 360. So, which is actually leads me to something that I wanted to bring up here real quick. So this has been a bad week in a lot of ways for people. And like Baltimore, bad
Yeah.
stuff, and bad stuff in Nepal. Like that 7.8 earthquake was just devastating. Lots of people dead, injured, and homeless. And I feel like I need to try and help. So here is what I am proposing. And this has to do with Nepal specifically. So the Sherpa people live in Nepal, mainly. They also live elsewhere where the Himalayas are, but mainly in Nepal. And so Sherpas are famous because they assisted and guided some of the early mountain climbers who were exploring the Himalayas and some of those first jaunts up Mount Everest. And since then, the word Sherpa has kind of become conscripted into our vernacular to mean just like a guide of any kind. And when you get into things like World of Warcraft and EverQuest, and then more recently like Borderlands and Destiny, when you talk about people going out on raids, well, you also talk about people who assist those groups going out to raids called Sherpas, raid Sherpas. And I feel like because we've kind of co-opted this word of this indigenous Nepalese people who have been affected by this earthquake, I feel like it's a good time to try and give something back. So what I'm going to do is on May 15th, it's a Friday, at 7 p.m., I am going to start a 24-hour marathon to try and raise awareness for the charities that are helping the people of Nepal, not just the Sherpas, but everyone who's been affected by the earthquake. And
Cool.
I'm calling it Destiny Sherpas for Nepal. So basically, here's how it would work. I would hop on my my one, and the reason why I brought up the 360 is I think I might switch over to the 360 for at least a couple of raids. But I would, from 7 p.m. Friday to 7 p.m. Saturday, raid and guide not only my friends but maybe randos through the various raids of Destiny. All the while, during the stream, I would have and I'm actually gathering it right now, a list of charities that are doing what they can for the people of Nepal. And I'm thinking like the International Federation of Red Crescent and Red Cross Societies, a charity that was suggested by our good friend Izzy, Save the Children, UNICEF, which has come up in a couple of different places. They're not a charity per se, but they are doing work there. And basically, in the stream, I would post information to give to that particular charity while we were playing. So that's what I'd like to do for the people of Nepal. And so if you are one of my friends and you'd like to come with me on one of these raids, I'd be more than happy to help you. Once I run out of friends, and I figure that'll happen probably later on in the evening, I'll turn to resources like Destiny LFG and some of those other like player matching services, and join up with them and try and help some new people through the raid, and all the while trying to raise awareness for causes that are helping out.
That sounds fantastic, and I would be honored to come and play with you. I will get back on Destiny for you and for that charity Roadblock.
I would be glad to do it where I'm not going to be working a 2-week-long event. But I'm happy to promote what you're doing. I'm going to be working for 2 weeks in an RV with my coworkers. I'm excited.
Okay,
so I'm
now
happy
I'm
to promote.
because I want to hear more about the RV coworker thing, but I don't want to just completely ignore
No,
Jonathan's awesome charity
I
thing.
think this is a great opportunity, and I'm so 100% with you in spirit, and I'm so glad to support what you're doing, because I think what most people do is they give to whatever charity. They're like, I can give to this charity and they'll help these people. But I think having something that you can do some research and you can say, this is, if you give here, your money will be doing A, B, and C things.
Right. And I've actually been picking the brain of our good friend Martha Marin, whose company has had teams in Nepal helping out on the ground, evacuating their clients, and also just trying to do good in general. So she got me in touch and helped fill out the list. Our good friend Izzy helped out with a couple of names that I'd never heard of. So I'm lucky that I'm getting the support I am in this initial stage. But I'll have more details. I'm actually a lot of what I was talking about came from a script from a video I'm about to shoot. I'm going to throw it up on Reddit and see about what kind of buzz I can get. And if other people want to like Sherpa along with me, like have their own raids and kind of like dedicate it to maybe a hashtag or something, that would be great. I think taking myself out of the money loop and taking ourselves out of the money loop, because this will be on the Glibshark stream, I think is really good. Just saying, hey, here's where you can give, here's what they do, and if you don't like that, then we'll have something else here in a bit.
No, that's an excellent idea. That's, just direct them right to the charity. No middleman, no having to worry about anything else. Just get them right to, the Red Cross or whatever. I think that's an excellent plan.
Yeah. And it seems selfless, too. Usually it's all about getting some kind of buzz or getting points on social media. For us, it's not about that. It's like, hey, we're playing this to bring awareness to this. This is where it goes. We're not even tracking, like, what goes where. So we can't – it's not for tooting our own horn at all. It's strictly awareness, help out, here's how.
But anyway, more details will be forthcoming, and like I said, we'll have a video hopefully here soon. And I am not okay. So the last time I tried to do something for 24 hours, I failed, and hopefully we'll do a little bit better. It was for the Child's Play deal that SideQuest was doing down at Gamers Galaxy in Austin. I almost made it, but it was just like. There was only so much Minecraft that I could play with Izzy before she had to go to bed.
No lie, Minecraft doesn't really keep me awake. I was just like, sometimes Minecraft has the really soothing music. I'm like, oh, it's basically Minecraft is an entire game of, wouldn't you like to take a nap now? And I'm like, yes, Minecraft, I think I would.
Ah, you have never fought the Ender Dragon then, because that there's no napping during that.
The first time someone took me to the Nether, I was sitting there, I was like, this is kind of cool. I was a little on edge, and then I was like, I don't have anything on me. Ah, I could take a nap.
Uh, we just had a listener, a nameless listener, Lauren Crozier, ask if we were watching our Twitch chat.
I'm in there now. I
Okay.
saw
Are
a bunch
we?
of stuff before. I tried to refresh to
Oh.
sign in, and they had a question about when were you planning to do this again? Do you have a date set yet?
I do. It's Friday, May 15th,
Cool.
and I will be. It's also RT Community Day, so
Oh, excellent.
yeah.
That's a perfect time to do
I
it.
it I was trying to pick like because the next weekend is event redacted, and
Yep.
I think the weekend before would just be too little time to
Yeah.
kind of promote it and stuff like that. And there's several logistical things I need to get together. Like there's no way I can do this and have it be interesting via the Twitch app on Xbox because then for 24 hours you'd only be hearing me, and I don't think I can carry that.
Aw.
I don't think I can. Not for a day. Not for an actual set of 24 hours. So
I
what I'm
think you can, but I think it's going to be a lot more fun to be able to see more than just you. So,
So
well,
we're
they'll still only be able to see me, but they'll hopefully be able to hear everyone else.
yeah.
yes.
So we got some information from Steven, who's in on the chat, and he says that
Hey,
first,
Steven.
the whole game is a free upgrade for the one, and second, MAP International, MAP International, and Direct Relief are the two charities that have been vetted the most and are at the top of charities that give the most of their contributions directly to aid.
I have actually Direct Relief is one that I've heard about. It's come up in conversations, and like I said, the Martha came up with a list that I'm going to go through. And Izzy mentioned, like I said, Save the Children, and I did not realize this isn't like the American Red Cross. This is the IF. RC. So it's like the international Red Crescent and Red Cross. So it's a bit more inclusive than just the American Red Cross, which I have heard middling things about.
So I would
that's good, and UNICEF, like I said, has come up more than once. So
I would put two out there that do. I don't know specifically if Stop Hunger now works in Nepal. That would be something worth checking out. Heifer International. When people think about relief, as somebody who grew up in an area that gets a lot of hurricanes, hurricane damage and large scale damage like this, it's not just immediate relief. This is long term, like for somebody who lives in a wealthy, affluent area that didn't see a lot of damage from the hurricanes we got, but still saw like trees down and power outages, like most of my childhood, like the landscape of our life was changed after a hurricane. Like stuff like, though that tree came down and blah blah, or that building was gone because of blah blah blah. Like when I was little, there were still parts of Charleston that looked like a blown out war zone from Hugo. So another thing to think about is organizations that work long term to change communities. Heifer International works in Nepal, and Heifer International is highly vetted. When you donate, you are donating money to give a cow, to give goats, to give chickens, to give ducks, to
that's
give
why it's
rabbits.
called Heifer. Okay,
That's why it's called Heifer International. It's called the Heifer Project.
no,
And
that's excellent.
And so the thing to think about is not just immediate relief, because when something like this happens, one of the major problems is there's this flood of money and then it drops off when media coverage stops. So if you are thinking long term, if you're giving, they lost livestock that they had. I think, like, I follow them on Facebook, and their Facebook post says they lost in Nepal in the earthquake reportedly 15,000 livestock. So those are 15,000 animals that are the cornerstone of communities all around Nepal. So and they're well vetted. You know where your money goes. So another thing to think about is this long term. What like Stop Hunger Now works long term in communities, but they were also first responders in Haiti because they'd been so entrenched in Haiti already doing work. So those are just some like if you're still looking for the to me like that's what immediately comes to my mind is the Katrina damage is still there.
Yep.
Hugo damage, hilariously, there, Hugo damage is still can be seen. There was just like when the beach that we go to, like there are places that beach houses will never be built on because there's these new ordinances that were put into place that if your beach house is like totaled essentially by a hurricane, you can't build there ever again. So there's just these, that's just think long. And the other thing is think about long-term giving. Think about immediate relief is very important, but it will take decades for communities to recover from what happened, especially impoverished communities. It doesn't take very long you would never know a tree fell on our back porch when I was little, but that can mean a big thing in other areas. So that's my take on it.
And a good take it is.
Like I said, I appreciate all of the help and advice I'm getting, and I will continue to appreciate it because I'm going to be basically setting up a new streaming rig and trying to get all that done and figuring out how to recognize things that I'm doing, like, hey, we're on the 18th raid of the night or something like that. I like there's
18th raid, $18 to whoever gets the most, whatever charity you guys pick. I'm going to give, but
yeah, there'll be fun stuff. I'm going to try and I think one thing that streams, especially marathon streams, need to do is that they need to have segments and they need to have stuff that keeps things fresh, and then they also need the long-term jokes. Like, well, this was our seventh wipe of the night. Time to eat a banana or something. I don't know.
You need to wear a dress for some of it.
So, Jonathan, if people have suggestions either for equipment to use or things to do during the stream or anything like that, do you have a preferred way that they can send those? Do you want through Twitter? Do you want through?
Tweet me if it's just something quick. If you have something a bit more involved, you can email me roadblock@gmail.com. You can also hit me up on my RT profile, roosterteeth.com/roadblock, or my Facebook if you're already Facebook friends with me. I will take whatever I can from anywhere. I've already, like I said, and today I've already got a ton of help. So thank you those who've helped me already.
Yeah, it's important to remember also that in addition to Nepal, there are surrounding countries that are affected as well. Parts of China, India, Bangladesh, and even Bhutan. So even though, Nepal, of course, you want to help them out too. But if you're able to, put some money towards there, like they're less in the spotlight,
right,
they're just as effective.
Yeah,
and all of those charities, I believe, are operating in areas where the earthquake affected them. So they're not, and since it's stuff like international IFRC, they're not bound by any borders. And a lot of those charities aren't.
These are called NGOs, non-governmental organizations.
Yep.
The more you know.
The more you know. Sorry. It's another thing when you take anthropology, you spend a lot of time covering the role of NGOs and what they actually do.
Well, I'm just lucky that I know people that are tangentially related to this topic. I mean, I don't know anyone specifically in like disaster relief, but I know someone who is familiar with disaster readiness, and I know someone who is works at a company that does evacuations and medical emergencies. So it's like all of these things are helping, and it's so great.
The beauty of the internet is you don't necessarily need to know everything. You have access to people who will know the things.
Right.
Know all the things.
And all of them are lovely people. Especially Martha. I'll name names in that case.
You get this, and that's the thing about the internet, right? Like, you get this class of jerks who sort of make things, difficult for almost everybody, but the vast majority of people are actually kind of decent and kind. And I really believe that, even now.
I was like I was sort of in an argument today along those lines where I got the like stereotypical your generation blah 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 and I was like, just like you know what, let me tell you about my generation. And they were like, I see everybody texting on their cell phones. And I'm like, yeah, you do see everybody texting on your cell phone. I see grown ass adults, like people who are like 40s, 50s, and 60s standing in line on their cell phones. And I am so sick of us like taking the blame for being like, they're like, you're always on your phone. Who are you? You're not connecting with anybody. I'm like, what do you think I'm doing on my phone? I've
Yeah.
got friends like I have friends in Texas and Oklahoma and Boston and like I was just like I might be talking to them because if I'm standing in line at McDonald's, none of my friends are here.
Right.
But it's just like
And you reach out to
Okay.
them there. I mean, a lot of them are
and I met them all on the internet.
and a lot of that criticism of millennials and I guess late Gen Xers is them projecting basically. Boomers just hate. Boomers gonna hate. You know.
I think we're conditioned to hate the generation below us, and I really wish we could stop that somehow.
I
Because-
actually don't hate the generation below me. I mean, I guess I'm a millennial, so the people after
Yeah.
me are the ones born in the late '90s who are
Yeah.
just starting high school and stuff. And those kids, at least the ones that I know, they're awesome. Like they are.
Yeah.
They're such good kids. They don't have any of the hang-ups or ego stuff or drama that I saw in high school. Like I was such a little diva. I still am, right?
I can-
But
I've seen your
these
high school
kids,
pictures.
yeah, but these kids are totally just chill. They're not into like getting invested in that too much, and they're looking to work. They're more problem solution oriented kids. At least at least the ones that I know.
Man, I fucking hate millennials. Let me tell you how much I hate them. Oh my gosh.
I hate
And
all
disco
children.
sucks.
For
I hate the
children.
ones above and below me.
I hate anyone under 18. Go away.
And anyone over 55.
Over 55. My argument is like, look, like I had like this was somebody that was like my parents' age, and I was like, so here's the deal: if you have a problem with my generation, the person to take it up with is your mirror. You raised us. If you do not like how we turned out, genetically, there is no thing that says we are all so genetic. It's not a genetics thing, babe. That's not how that works. It's a nurture issue.
I'm starting with the man in the mirror.
Yeah. Take Michael
I'm-
Jackson's fucking advice. Like
Okay.
And Michael Jackson is now the cue that I have to go because, oh God, if we're going to start singing Michael Jackson, I need to run away. But I really do. I have to go to rehearsal and I have to go play not Michael Jackson. So,
Bye,
see
Obo.
you guys later.
Bye, Obo.
Don't be a stranger in Moscow. Too soon.
I hate you so much.
So, all right.
Love you too, Lauren.
In a rather jarring transition, and this is something that Lauren reminded me of, and it goes back to the Destiny talk because I got to play with a guy that I haven't played with in a while last night, and I was with a group. They're fairly new at raiding. They're just now starting to get some good stuff, and so I messaged this friend, and he's like, "Yeah, sure, I'll come with." So I'm kind of introducing him to the group, and I'm like, "Okay, so this guy, I'm just gonna say." He is the Jedi Master who instructed me. Like, he made me the Sherpa that I am today. So he comes in, and it's a great time. We're playing. And it was really cool. So I was telling Lauren Crozier Doodles about it. And she's like, oh, so he's sort of like if you're Obi-Wan, then he's your Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yep.
And I'm like, yeah, cool. So, yeah, that's awesome. That works.
Did he
And
get
I-
chopped in
and-
half?
And no, that was Darth Maul.
Oh yeah.
He actually did get stabbed, though. So while we were playing, Crota stabbed him with a sword, and I yelled, "No!" all dramatically. Anyway, but so the conversation kind of went on, and we started talking about, well, what about our other friends? Who are they? So we started on, and obviously the first thing that I said was that Izzy was Jar Jar.
Oh, that's
And-
not nice.
And okay, so I said that I immediately regretted saying that. I was just like, okay, that's too far. That's just not cool. So we started talking about it. We're like, okay, so who is everyone? And like, well, Shraver is obviously Mace Windu for no reason at all.
Oh no, for no reason. Traver's Mace Windu.
No,
And,
no
so-
reason.
So We started
Wait, hold.
like
I have to get back to this Jar Jar comment because you have to understand, Jar Jar Binks is the Gavrilo Princip of our time.
whatever.
Yeah, but Jar
fuck
Jar
off.
Binks is a minstrel show. Jar Jar Binks can never be a person of color. It's always a minstrel show. It would have to be a white person.
Anyway, so we're getting to the part that involves well, at least one more person that's in this room. So we were trying to figure out, like, okay, well, who's Luke? Who is Leia? I said that Lauren Crozier is actually Luke because she kind of came up. She was already a skilled pilot, but we were amazed how strongly the Force was with her. And so she became a sword runner and relic runner in Destiny, just like me. So then we started moving on to our other friends. Well, who is, like, maybe Shraver is Chewie and Noobs is Han. And
Yeah,
so
I can see that.
yeah, so we're kind of going back and forth, and so we're like, well, so who is Izzy? We're like, well, maybe Izzy is R2D2 because R2D2 is useful and adorable, and so
Aw,
so
Izzy's
who's
really
C3PO then? And so we threw out a bunch of names, and let's see who's fussy and polite, but kind of annoying, but knowledgeable, but also very fussy, and we're both like Steven. Steven is C3PO.
Why, Stevie?
But then we were like, so wait a minute. Izzy can't be R2D2. Jules is R2D2 because she is smart and useful and knows how to do a lot of different kinds of things and is also adorable. So we came to the conclusion after all that Jules, you and Steven are R2D2 and C3PO.
Aw. I can kind of almost see that, but who am I in this extended Star Wars metaphor again, or am I not in this because I don't play Destiny?
We did. Yeah, you don't play Destiny, so we didn't get around.
So I'm basically Dr. Bashir in a whole other universe off to the side.
Yes, you're now sitting on the throne of Dorne.
Yay!
Basically, I can.
Uh-oh,
see that because
Jules,
R2D2
up to your mouth, up to your mouth. We're
Of
losing you.
what? Oh, sorry, but I moved it because my breathing was creepy.
I don't know why we lost you for a second. Okay, you're fine.
So I can totally see R2D2 mouths off a lot to C3PO. I can see that because I say things and Steven's like, oh, he gets all like flustered.
I know.
I just
That's-
need him to perfect his C3PO walk because I know in the chat right now, even though I'm not looking, he's like, hey now, hey, what's this? I love you. Oh my gosh, I could get a little C3 or I could get a little R2D2 dress and I can walk around and when I get really angry at him, I can just go and like make beeping noises.
There
He'll
are
get
so many
frustrated.
like actual dresses that are inspired by different things that you could totally get like a wearable to just about anything R2D2 dress and it would look fine.
I know at least 3 different places right now off the top of my head where I can get both an R2D2 dress. Well, actually, no, a dress, a skirt, and a bikini.
Wow.
Yep.
There's a mental image.
Thanks, her universe.
No, not just her universe. Oh, I can also get leggings.
Oh.
Did
I
you
can
guys
get
see Hot Topic had a bunch of Avengers-inspired dresses?
Yes. Her universe paired with Hot Topic to create that line.
Oh, okay.
I read the
So-
article, but this is the thing. This was like 2 weeks ago in Geek, so yeah. So basically, her universe, the Nerdist covered it because they partnered with them at the last San Diego Comic-Con to do a fashion show, and part of that fashion show wasn't just the new Her Universe line. It was also 36 designers presenting one look as a part of an overall competition to create what they, like haute couture, geek couture is what they called it. And I remember watching it, and some of this stuff was really good, and some of the stuff I was like, it felt just like fancy cosplay.
Yeah.
And I like Her Universe, and I like their stuff, and some of like the Avengers stuff. Like, did you see the Black Widow dress?
The Black Widow was, I think, the thing that I could see most of my friends in.
I could see like that to me, like that dress. It's really mod, which is pretty cool, and it feels like a reference that is just like it's like. The Captain America dress still feels like a cosplay to me. But the Black Widow dress is just so damn subtle that it's like 100% perfect.
It was definitely like you could wear that to work and
Yes.
and no one would catch, like most people wouldn't catch on that it's Black Widow, whereas like the Thor one
Yeah.
is very obviously, okay, why are you wearing like
Thor.
kids clothes to work?
And it's these retro, like, so that dress on its own without like the Thor thing is really really inspired by stuff that was popular in the 50s and 60s. And so like the silhouettes of the others, they're all very 50s and 60s retro inspired because they're cuts that generally look good on all body types, which I get, but it's just like it felt really like half-assed to just do a blue dress and stick Captain America's shield on it and be like, here you go. And I was just like, but like look at what you did, like look at Black Widows. Like, look at how that like well that fits and how much. And it's like man, they put all this thought into like probably the Tony Stark jacket and the Black Widow dress, and everything else is like we'll make it look exactly like it is in the movie, or we'll make a retro and do a pattern. I was just like,
Almost
Yeah.
like those old school costumes where it was basically just a smock with the logo of the character on the chest.
basically.
I've had more than a few
Hey,
of those.
look at me, Lisa. I'm Radioactive Man. No, you're not. We're Radioactive Man wouldn't have his own face on his costume.
He would if he were dressing up for Halloween. Although, full disclosure, in 1988 for Halloween, I was dressed up in the Willow mask and smock, even though I had never seen the movie or didn't know anything about the character. I think it was just the last costume available that my dad could snag.
Aw.
I had a Willow lunchbox in first grade too. That was a rough first couple of years in grade school.
Aw.
Yeah.
I had an Orca lunchbox. I bought it when I was little because our swim team was orcas, and I continued to use it through high school. Nobody cared.
Wow.
Jules, I actually, speaking of swim team and competitiveness, I have a question for you.
Uh-huh.
So, I saw pictures of when you and Steven ran the Austin Marathon, and once
No, Steven didn't run
no,
that.
not Steven, Brandon. My bad. I'm sorry. It's you say Jules and Steven. It just comes out anyway.
Steven was at the finish line.
He
very proud of
was,
that
yes,
fact.
yes. Everyone was there except me, and I'm sad. Anyway, but that's not important. So like, I saw pictures of you and Brandon when you guys were done, and like I said, congrats, y'all did awesome. We were watching the Oklahoma City Marathon here, and we were watching both the male and female winner.
Who looked
And
like
you
they
and
were
Steven do not
Nope,
at all
not
look
Steven.
anything. Or, God damn it!
Brandon. Oh, by the way, happy birthday, Brandon.
Happy birthday, Brandon Newberg. Thank you for running that marathon with me. And thank you for letting Steven piggyback onto your success.
Oh my God! Now I can see like Brandon carrying Steven piggyback style and saying, and Steven's like after her.
He'd do it. They would do
Yeah.
it for at least a mile and a half.
But anyway, so I was watching coverage of the Oklahoma City Marathon, and these guys just did not look like you or Brandon. Brandon and you have healthy
Fat on our bodies.
Yes. Is that just because y'all don't do like 20 of these a year?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I think running does stuff to you. Like every sport you play will work upon your body in a way. Like, have you ever looked at sprinters? The muscles that the sprinters have, like if you look at like Usain Bolt, like they have these thighs that are just muscly in there because it's what they need to do with their body is very different than what a marathon runner needs to do. And it's this I mean, I think the best example is I got hungry. Brandon and I both packed different fuels. So it's not just that your body literally runs out of fuel. You'll just start feeling hungry if you hadn't eaten enough. And I remember I was probably like mile 20 and I was like, I am ready to be done. I'm actually physically hungry right now.
That was like more than the fatigue, the pain, everything else is just like I'm hungry.
I'm hungry. I had a rubbing spot on my back, so I did have like a little bit of like just some terrible like basically my water belt rubbed.
Oh.
But it's a lot. Like so somebody asked me, which I thought was a really like fucking rude question. They're like, "Oh, are you gonna lose some weight because you're training for your marathon?" And I was like, "No, because I am fine with my body how it is." But like that, because that wasn't like the goal, right? Like, but when you train for a marathon, if you do not eat to match the mass amount of calories you've burned, you will start losing weight. And then there's the thing that people who run multiple marathons are just running so much more. Like if I had to sustain like doing a marathon and then maybe a month or so later doing another marathon and then doing another, I would typically be running, you know, a lot of miles in a week. And people who do marathons competitively, like Brandon and I were building up, but our build would have stayed steady. Like the last, we would have been staying on average running, I'm running, that 10 to 13 miles every time you run and then putting in long runs. Like you'd just be running so much more, and eventually you just burn a lot of calories. You're creating these muscles that are designed to be like long distance, and they're long and they're lean, and you don't want to carry a lot of extra weight because you don't have room for that. You have room for the calories to get you through, and it's just your body does change when I think you're doing it super hyper competitively. But I also think that's super hyper competitively, and I think that for running, as long as you don't have seriously your doctor saying, look, you're going to blow your knee out, you're going to hurt yourself, I think anybody can run. I think it's this myth that running is for people who have runners' bodies. Like if you have a body and you run, you have a runner's body.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, if Brandon and I ran competitively, our bodies would look very, very different, because any athlete, you inherently move beyond the casual phase. But also we would be experiencing injuries that are really different. Running takes a toll, especially road running. It's really hard on your knees. You can really hurt yourself. You can really hurt your body if you're not training correctly and training well. And like, I think both of us experienced days when we were like, I think I may have overdone it a little day, or I'm a little more tired, or the dreaded fear of pooping your pants, which neither of us did. So proud.
I am proud of you too, Jack. Are you proud of the non-pooping?
I don't want to make light of it. Actually, that's a real thing. I've heard of that happening.
It's a real thing.
Don't mistake this for anything. I absolutely believe it's a real thing.
Yeah, but it's still kind of funny.
What my goals were?
What
you know what my goals were? I had 3 goals. Number 1, finish.
Okay.
Number 2, don't poop yourself. Number 3, don't lose any toenails. And I met every single goal.
Nice.
I know of one of those goals that our friend Joseph Garcia did not meet.
He lost some toenails when he did his, right?
Yeah, he lost
Oh my
some toenails.
gosh.
I think he lost his big toe.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
I've done that before, not running. It's a long, but it's no fun.
Ooh.
What was the saying? I heard this, and I want to say it was on Reddit or something. Don't trust a fart after mile 12.
Don't trust a fart. Don't ever trust. I saw some signs that said don't trust a fart. I was like, that's too real, because it was like 18. And I was like, girl.
There needs to be like a poster of a runner in agony, like in a marathon, and a caption that says, "Don't gamble, you'll lose."
Like those Hitler's watching posters. If you ride alone, you ride with Hitler.
You're right alone. Well, Brandon and I were behind this woman, and we were smelling this smell, and I remember looking at him, and he was looking at me, and you're like, whatever, we're running. It was like mile 11 or 12, and since like at that time, if either of us had farted, we'd be like, yeah, it was me. And I think we both kind of simultaneously realized this woman had probably just pooped herself, and she was running the full. And I was like, girl, you got 13 more miles to go with poop in your pants. That's a hard road to toe.
God. That's
a lot of chafing.
Yeah, I'm stuck in week 4 of my couch to 5K. Just like
That's
it's just been hard.
awesome.
Well, no, I'm trying, but it's tough because I'm.
What is hard about it? What are you finding that is blocking you right now?
Right now it is just.
What is your roadblock?
Shut up.
Steven's cross.
Wow,
I know.
Someone tries to steal my job. I love
God
it.
Damn it. Right now it's just the long periods of time. Like right now, I think week 4 introduces 5 minutes of sustained.
Yeah.
And so that is rough. And yeah, I mean, like when Brandon was doing his training and we were talking about workouts, and I think Lauren tried to like compare our workouts more directly, and Brandon's like, no, our workouts are very different right now. Because like while I can go and get out like, I don't know, 8 or 9 reps in a set of 225, that's a very different kind of strength. And,
Oh, yeah.
And running is something that's that's become alien to me, which sucks because right before I got married, I could have done a 5K like without thinking. Like I remember one time when I ran 3 miles just because I could, and I was like, do people seriously need water breaks for this?
Yeah.
I don't.
No, I'm back. Kind of, my body's kind of back there. I haven't run a lot. I've been doing a lot of dance, and it's just like dance. Like the first day of dance class kicked my ass. I was like sweating
Yeah.
like crazy. I was like, oh. And then it's like I go to run club and I'm like running 3 miles, and I'm like, this is great. And I'm like, dance is really hard. And I biked yesterday, and I was like, this is really hard. So it's just like your body has to change with it. My advice, like, I understand that you want to go with the program. My advice is like, sometimes what's hard is like, and when I was first training for my very first half marathon, I hit this weird point where I was supposed to move up from 4 miles to running 5 miles every time I ran. And I had to be running indoors because in New York, and it was still way early spring, and so still way cold. And I was running on the indoor track at Columbia, and they had this digital clock. And I would look at the digital clock, and I was like trying to, every single time I was running around, the only game I would play that kept me going was making sure my lap times were always 100% the same time or faster, around when it was like 10 laps to get you a mile. And so I was just
Right.
like killing myself. And I would do 4 miles, and I'd be like, oh, I'm so tired. And then like, oh, I ran it so fast. And I had to like switch my brain to be like, you don't need to run this fast. You just need to do it.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's you don't got to run fast. You can be like, even if you are like, I'm going as slow as possible, you did what was required of you. Just get the distance in and get the time in, and don't worry about speed. And that was like what changed my mentality, was I was like, and the speed came eventually.
Yeah, that's a good point. I will watch my pace as slow as it already is. It could stand to be slower. I could stand
could
to
be
work
walking.
less.
No, 5 minutes can be a long time. 5 minutes can be half a mile.
Yeah, and it sucks because like there are things that I can do now that I never could have done in those days. But there are a lot of things that I could do that I'm not able to now. And it's funny because like the state that I'm in, I don't feel bad. Like I went to the doctor, I'm more or less okay. I actually have to get him the form to certify me for scuba training, but I mean he's going to do
Ooh,
it.
cool.
Yeah, there's really no reason. My blood pressure is great. My cholesterol's great, surprisingly, and so I'm good to go. There is a lot of weight that I could drop that I need to for a lot of reasons, and I talk about this a lot, so we can move on. Although I will say that I did get myself a new chair that I'm sitting in right now. It's a brand new office chair that I'm very, very happy and that I assembled with my very tired hands earlier. And it hasn't collapsed under my copious weight, so I'm pretty happy.
Huzzah!
Huzzah! I think that's is it comfy?
Yeah, it's actually really comfy. It's not like you get those really crazy chairs that are like super adjustable, and I think even the ones at work are a bit more adjustable than this, but this has it where it counts, and it's nice enough. The price is right.
Price is right. There's a pun there, but I just gonna let it walk on by.
Yeah, you kind of seized the last one, so this one you can let pass.
Psh.
Oh, wait, I found an adjustment point. Oh, fuck yes. Oh, yeah. There we go. All right. Adjusted the arm things. I'm good now.
Nice. I'm trying to find bathing suits. That's my current purchase. Speaking of crap with your body that nobody finds enjoyable, like running, bathing suit shopping right up there. Oh my god, they're so expensive. Are guys' suits this expensive?
No.
Definitely
No.
not. I mean, because
Definitely not.
they're just shorts. You know, they
If
don't.
you go to Target and spend $20 on a suit, you paid $5 too much.
Yeah, you can operate
Seriously?
a drawstring. You can get a fairly decent looking
Because it's not
pair
even
of trunks.
yeah, like one, they only fit one way.
Right.
and they're essentially like Jack was saying, they're essentially board shorts.
Yeah. I just like I'm looking at this suit and it's $69 on sale. And when it was racing suits, like because I used to swim competitively, it's like I'll spend however much money you want on a racing suit. It's a racing suit, it does a job. This isn't doing a job, it's just there to look cute. And all I need is for not to make me look totally horrendous, but apparently I have to pay $69 to make that happen.
Wow.
That is
Meanwhile,
ridiculous.
if I want a men's Speedo that will embarrass my future wife, I can get them from Macy's for only $29.99.
I'll get you. Where are you guys going on your honeymoon?
India.
Oh, seriously?
Not for a while, though.
That's
We're probably heading there towards the end of the year.
okay. Wait, because equator stuff, summer, winter.
Yeah, it's not quite the equator. It's like tropical, where our
Tropical-ish.
families are from, like subtropics. I think 8 degree,
Okay.
9 degree latitude, and it'll be. I guess that time it'll be more a little chilly, like 70s, 60s. So
That's perfect.
yeah, yeah. So for them, that's actually kind of cool. It gets as cold as like the 50s in December. We're not going quite that late, but mostly we're visiting family, and also I'm trying to get some time in either Goa or Kerala has some beautiful beaches as well. So it really depends on what we're able to do, how many pennies we have, how many acorns we've saved for the winter.
Oh, save your acorns. Save your acorns.
I
Do
believe it's
you-
pronounced acorn.
Oh, well, fine.
Go on. Sorry.
Fine.
I just like the pronunciation.
my-
No, I'm sorry. Acorns. It was adorable. I did kill your moment. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Kill my moment of fun. No, how long are you guys going for?
3 weeks. It's pretty much like I'm using a week of vacation time just for wedding stuff and other couple things here and there I need to do for the wedding. And so I did it in November because I get Thanksgiving off and I get November 11th, Veterans Day off. So I only use the full 3 weeks. I can use like 13 days.
Sweet.
Yeah, yeah. So fingers
Remember
crossed
when we
everything
could
works
pull a
out.
similar trick for RTX? Ha ha ha.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, well I have time set aside for RTX. I have that Friday and the Monday, so it's going to be abbreviated for me. But my presence will definitely be felt.
I'm hoping
I got
to
taken away from the
have.
Speedo page. Sorry, go ahead.
You gotta navigate. Don't navigate away from the Speedo page. Why would you do that? Why would you want to navigate away from the Speedo page?
I don't know. I think it's sort of one of those places where, the men's body ideal and the men's actual body shape come into contrast in a way that it almost always is for women. So,
Yep.
like, imagining myself in a pair of Speedos with a body a little less flattering than the one that I'm looking at.
Now, does India have the European sensibility when it comes to wearing Speedos? Is it a done thing, or will they look at you and think this American is crazy?
Yeah, it's funny you should ask. The last time I was on any beach in India, I was like 11 years old. And even then, there weren't really anybody on the beaches. It wasn't like, I think it was midday. There weren't any swimmers or any like bathers or anything like that. I don't even know why. But I would imagine because it's a fairly conservative country compared to other places that, men be wearing swim trunks, maybe t-shirts or whatever. Women are probably more modestly dressed. If they're swimming or anything like that, they probably have like a sundress on or something like that.
That's so hard. I always worry, like the one thing I always worry about, like when cultures are inherently conservative, my cultural relativism gets like shot when I'm like, how are you going to, like, again, it's the logistics of how are you going to swim with that thing on? You are going to drown yourself. You are putting yourself and others in danger.
That is too many
Where-
clothes.
That is too many clothes for swimming. Too many clothes for swimming. Don't you know that you are ruining your lap times? Yeah, that's where my cultural relevance just gets tossed out the door because I'm like,
Yeah, it's just
I
function
understand.
over style.
it is always for me function over culture.
Yeah.
Function over style, function over culture. When you get like in the pool, you are there to race and do a job and not drown. Very important. Number one job, don't drown.
Don't
and if you're
drown.
wearing something all billowy and it gets caught, like if you're in the ocean and there's all kinds of crap in the ocean for you to get. I love the ocean, but there's many ways to drown and die.
I think that's ultimately like the only really way to lose at swimming is to drown. I think if you lose the race or whatever, you live to fight another day. But you lose swimming if you drown.
You lose swimming if you.
You just lost the game. The game was your life.
I had lost the game years ago, man. But that's something that I have to do, though. Especially now that I'm going to be like a married man, and at some point kids may enter the picture.
Oh my God, little Jax, little Jacob.
Little pun machines, learning geography, reading up on their history and their political science,
Watching videotapes of sitcoms from the 80s.
Also
so they get
potentially
dad's jokes.
Also potentially going into the water, which is all the more reason to take up my family's proud naval tradition and actually finally master swimming.
Your family has a proud naval tradition? That's pretty cool.
My dad was in the Indian Navy from 1966 to 1976. He actually fought in the war between India and Pakistan that led to the independence of Bangladesh.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty darn cool.
He's a cool guy. My dad. Don't tell him I said so, though. Dad, if you're listening, you're not that cool.
No.
Not really.
I'm going to be going, and I'm going to be meeting your dad. I'm going to shake his hand the first, because I haven't seen him since we spent the night at your house.
That's right. That was years and years ago. Yeah.
And he stayed up to make sure we were okay, and it was so adorable. And then we went down into your basement, which was not a basement, but basically a second house.
Oh man, I'm kind of sad that I can't live there. Like looking at all the not terrible apartment options, but all of the, I guess, considerably less spacious options available to me, like based on my budget and based on the fact that, the missus won't be working for a little while. So whatever I can afford is what we can get, right? So I'm looking for a 2-bedroom or something with a little bit more space just because there's 2 of us and the dog. But man, the place I'm in now is not hospitable towards doing this. I may have to move into one of the surrounding towns. And I thought about Delaware, but then
Delaware?
Delaware. I thought about Delaware. Delaware.
What?
Yeah. Exactly.
Delaware.
Exactly. Well, that's
Why
exactly
would
right.
you live there? Oh.
But more likely, I'll be in like the Philadelphia suburbs, like Delaware County, which is like the one between Delaware State and Philadelphia, basically.
Delaware. Yep.
Delco. Off the Blue Route.
You can go by, what was the... Oh, there's that really good all the places I know in Delaware are on UDel's campus because my sister went to graduate school there.
Oh yeah, I work probably 15 minutes away from the University of Delaware's campus.
And that's not very far given Delaware, so...
Right, it's Delaware, so it doesn't mean
I have
There's
very
3 counties.
little, like, actual realization of Delaware. I know there's a place called Delaware. I'm pretty sure I drove through it once.
Hey,
I
John,
remember
Probably.
tobacco.
yeah,
Blink,
all
you'll
you
miss
need to
it.
know is halfway between Wilmington and Newark is Fiction's Lake.
I know that like credit card companies are based in Wilmington, right?
That's true. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
including
and
my
Wayne's
employer.
World made a joke about it once.
That's exactly.
Hey,
I think Wayne's
we're in
World
Delaware.
kind of colors my views on Delaware, even though I've been working there for about almost 4 years now.
Aw.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
It really dang. Wayne's
Time
World,
goes.
party time. Excellent.
Just yesterday, I was sort of like, looking for work, just trying to do everything I could to survive, and now I'm kind of settled, domesticated.
You're all grown up?
Not yet. No, I'm like Peter Pan. I'll never grow up. I just get older and have responsibility.
Well, grow
and I
up.
eat cartoons and I eat sugary cereals and watch cartoons.
When you do have kids, you're just going to be the dad that sits there. And you're just going to watch cartoons with them like my dad did.
Yeah, or I'll probably force my old cartoons on them. It's like, Dad, we can't watch any more DuckTales. Or the new version.
You'd be like, no, son, let me sing you the song.
Right. Or, by then, the new version of DuckTales may be out. So we'll be having fights about which version of DuckTales is better.
All right, so we're pretty far into it, and this is like time has actually flown. But I have to call attention to something.
Okay.
When I was setting up pictures for the stream, there is nothing but Ultron pictures. Like
Seriously?
absolutely nothing but like old, like, and I think just one image of a new Ultron. Everything else is like old and maybe a little bit more recent, like comic book Ultron.
I'm going to show you something.
Wait, is this the stream that's on your Twitch, which I should have pulled up, but I didn't?
Yeah,
I didn't.
That's what's been going on there, and so far we have not
Where
talked
is
about
it?
Ultron in the least.
We talked
It's
about
a-
Ultron quite a bit though last week.
That's kind of why I was like, well, we'll probably talk about it a little bit, but if we talk about it anymore, it's just gonna get stale. But Jules, what are your Ultron plans?
I'm gonna try to see it soon. Mostly, I just have all this crap for work going on, so that's getting in the way. Maybe I'll try to wait until Steven's in town for my sister's wedding, which is occurring after event name redacted, the weekend after. And I've kind of tried to stay away from a lot of trailers about it because
Good job. That's
I really just want to go in and be like, surprised. I just want to, not like I kind of just want to be like I don't know what the whole like some movies I've seen trailers for. I'm like, oh well, I know that's the plot. That's the plot in the trailer. And they've sort of stayed away from that, actually. They've kind of just gone into the Ultron's here, Ultron's bad, it's Tony Stark's fault. And,
Yeah, I've only seen
There
the
we go.
teaser. And then whatever lines from the movie that Obo has spoiled for me. But that's about
I
it.
did see the Sesame Street
I
Oh, that was
tried
good.
watching that, and it just
of
was not very
Veggies,
funny.
Age of Bonbon.
Yeah,
It gets funny when he becomes the, like, Hulk version of Cookie Monster.
I'll have to give it another shot. I like when I watched the House of Cards one. That's been my favorite so far.
The Game of Thrones one was pretty decent too.
The Game of Thrones one was pretty good. It was like it had even more like wink at the parent jokes than the House of Cards one. But I think the House of Cards one just works on every single level because whoever did the voice of Frank Underwood or Frank
Underwolf, yeah.
did a great job, and it was just it was brilliant. It was awesome.
They're just firing on all cylinders. I think because you have like a generation of kids who grew up in the height of Sesame Street who now have kids of their own, basically.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I mean, I think that applies to a pretty wide like age gap because
Yeah, everyone
the
who's, like,
height
45
of
and
Sesame
under,
Street
really.
has been like for the last 30 years.
Well, I would say it really kind of got into high ranks in the late 70s, early 80s, and that's when it really kind of catch steam.
We're right, but kids like the people that are having kids now were born in the late 80s and early 90s.
What, really? I guess some people in the early 90s are having kids. That still blows my mind a little bit. But really, yeah, I guess what you're saying is right. But like, you have to remember that our generation waited forever to have kids. So there are people who are like 40 and 41 and 42 are on their first kid now.
Not necessarily everyone
Yeah.
from our generation. I think like you and I did, and that's just and I don't know that that's indicative of like of all of our generation. I think the fact that you and I talk and are friends and are in that situation kind of says what kind of people we are and stuff like that. I mean, our interests are that we weren't like, man, we got to have kids. But I think a lot of people aren't like that. And
Yeah, I guess that's true.
they
Yeah.
are the ones who got married after college and then had a kid.
Yeah.
I know some people like that. People who I never thought would be those people, and it suits them 100%. They're happy in their lives. And they're just like, I knew somebody in college, she's like, I don't want kids. I'm going to have a lot of lovers. I'm going to have a lot of cats. And she is 100% happily married with a kid, just loving her life.
Yeah, and we're loving our lives too, and we're loving our guest, Jules, who the hour like literally flew. Like I don't know where the time went.
Hour and a
No,
half.
the hour and a half flew, Jack.
I think that's that thing I do where I drop like every third fourth word I say. That definitely
Okay.
happened here. But you can follow Jules at Julia_Rasa. Julia with a G and a U. I guess.
G-I-U.
The IU.
G-I-U,
I did the
that's
same
right.
thing. I was putting when I was trying to put at Julia Rosa, I was like G-U fuck. All right, go back. Delete.
That's okay. There was a weird joke in college about how to spell it, and so some of my old stuff was like a G-U-L-I-A, but it's a thing. It's a joke. If you took one class with me 10 years ago, yay, funny.
So I'm guessing next week we're going to be giving our impressions on Age of Ultron because I plan to watch on Saturday.
It's coming out on Saturday.
It's coming out on Friday/Thursday night.
Oh shit! I actually have time to watch it.
Fuck yeah!
Oh my god! You guys don't know how happy and Oh man, I'm gonna do this. I'm going alone. I don't even care.
Good for you, Jules. I am going by myself on Thursday night since I have nothing to do that night. Anything
We
else that I would do, and then I'm also going to see it with a bunch of friends on Saturday. So
We should go by ourselves at the same time.
I am going to. I think it's like I want to say it's an 8 or 9 o'clock show on Thursday night.
Oh, that's so late.
Yeah.
Oh.
My-
Until then, our announcer is Bob Ball. Our music is done by Linnea Boyev. Our sound producer is Jonathan Cerna.
I produce a lot more than sound for this, buddy.
He makes farts too.
On behalf of Jonathan Cerna, Lauren Urban, and the entire Glibstark staff, this is Jack Edithel saying good night, good health, and Mentos, the fresh maker.
You already used that one, Jack.
God damn it. All right, fine.
There actually.
The taste is gonna move ya. Use that one?
Well, hold on. There is a way that we can sign off the show that is totally appropriate for given the guests that we have.
Okay.
Yes?
No.
Oh,
Oh.
that's me. Na butt cast.
Yes.
Butt cast.
All right, guys.
I'm like, do you, Jules, do the thing.
Usually you tell me, like, go with the theme song. And then
I got a
you-
bill. Jules, thanks so much for coming on the show. This was a delight.
This is fun. I can't wait for more fun soon.
Yes, absolutely. All right, guys.
All right.
I'm gonna go so I can get stuff done. But I will talk to you later. Streamers,
Bye.
thank you so much. We love you. Bye.